Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem video. This is a postmortem of my Blitz chess game number 135, where I was white, kicked off with e4, and we got into the Sicilian defense. So let's check it out here. Turn up the sound a bit. So I play knight f3, and he plays d6, one of the top two moves, either d6 or knight c6 are the main choices here, and I play d4, the open Sicilian. C takes, knight takes, and now bishop d7, an unusual move. Normally one of the knights comes out next, typically knight to f6, putting pressure on the e-pawn and encouraging white to play knight c3. So because he hasn't played that, oh, by the way, this bishop move was not in my opening book, so I don't know if this has a name, this particular line, or not. But since there's no pressure on the e-pawn, I can play pawn to c4 instead of playing knight to c3 defending. So this situation here with the pawns on e4 and c4 is known as the Mroxy bind. The idea is to clamp down on the d5 square. And it's usually a good setup for white. It's not necessarily an overwhelming advantage, but usually gives white some pull. So knight f6, attacking the pawn now, and then knight c3 defending, and knight c6. So we've got a complete setup here, and white should be in good shape. He has a slight opening advantage, maybe more than the usual opening, but not super huge. But my next move kind of gives it all away. Oh, and I'm talking in these terms rather than showing you the engine evaluation because I want to do some tactical quizzes here. Bishop e3 was a mistake, and my opponent punishes bishop e3 with the move knight g4. And I wasn't afraid of knight g4 in this position because there's often the idea of moving the bishop around like this. The bishop comes here, gets kicked by say h6, comes back here, g5, and comes back here. And you seem to have wasted a lot of time with the bishop, but it's on a good diagonal, and black has wasted some time with these pawn moves, and so it's usually okay for white to play like that. But there is a particular tactical point here after bishop g5. So this is your first quiz. This is wrong for a specific reason. So what's a good move for black in this position? Okay, if you want some time to think about it, pause the video. I'm going to give the answer away. The move is queen to b6. Now queen b6 is a double attack on the knight and the pawn. A very common motif in many Sicilians, and the usual response is just knight to b3. But that doesn't work in this case. Hopefully you can see why. It is queen takes f2, checkmate. So there's a hidden threat. It's not just a double threat, but there's also a veiled threat on f2 of checkmate. So this is more serious than it appears at first. The best is probably bishop e3. And the chess engine recommends, after bishop e3, taking here on b2, threatening the knight on c3, which moves away, and then grabbing the bishop, take. And thinks this is significantly better for black. Black is a pawn up. He's damaged white's pawn structure. He's a little bit lagging in development, and his queen is in an odd spot. So I'm not entirely sure I would like to play this as black. But if you want a safer way to get an edge in this position, you can just forget about taking b2. Just grab the bishop right away and damage white's pawn structure, and that should give black some edge as well. Okay, so fortunately for me, he didn't see that. He played h6, and now I retreat my bishop to h4. Now, the chess engine recommends just retreating the bishop back to e3. So there's a flaw in this bishop h4 move, and it's not the same flaw as before because the bishop has protected the f2 square. So queen b6 is not the answer here, but there is a tactical move in this position that black has. Okay, I'm going to give the answer away. If you want time to think about it, pause the video. The answer is knight takes knight. And if queen takes knight, then that can be punished right away. Okay, the answer is e5 with double attack on the bishop and the queen. And now if the queen moves, black will just grab the bishop, so bishop takes queen is forced, and now pawn takes queen. And now here's where you see the dilemma. Everything is still even at this point. 2 bishops and a knight for black, 2 bishops and a knight for white, and it's white's move, but he has 2 pieces hanging. His bishop is hanging here and his knight is hanging here. So whichever one he saves, the other one gets taken. For example, knight here and rook takes bishop. It's one line. But however it's played, he's going to be a piece down. So this knight on d4, even though it appears to be defended, is actually just hanging. And now the best play, that wasn't the best play for white. According to the chess engine, the best play is to play h3, counterattacking this knight. And so if he retreats the knight, then you can take it. He takes back, and then you can grab this one, get your piece back. So the best move for black in this situation is not to retreat the knight, but to play queen b6 now. And that defends his knight, and this is still hanging. Of course, remember, black is a piece up at this point already. So you can take here, and then black can take here, attacking the knight. And if you try and grab his knight and defend your knight, he can take the rook. So he wouldn't want to do that. So black has grabbed a pawn, and he remains a piece up. So those are all good for black, but that required some depth of calculation. That's the kind of thing maybe you could see in a slow game, not in a blitz game. Queen a5 was played instead, a good move, but not the best when you have these tactics. And now white continues with the usual slight opening advantage. And I was feeling pretty comfortable here during the game. Thought things were going well, and I was doing okay. I just wanted to chase the queen to a square. And this is a trick you should always remember in a Maroczy type position, where you got the pawns here and here, and the queen on c7. You know, it's a good idea to put your rook on c1 and try and set up this tactic. So I play rook to c1, played a6, and now I can play knight d5. And knight d5 is a move that is often played in these positions, and it can even be played when there's a pawn when there's a pawn on e6. Excuse me. Because after pawn takes knight, this knight is pinned against the queen. That's the main idea here. So my opponent played knight takes d5, and I didn't think he could get away with this. I thought I was just going to win a piece here. But he has a nice way of getting out of it. And his moves here are all the best moves according to the engine. Knight takes knight was not the best, but after this, he's in a bit of a pickle. But he discovers a way out, which is pretty neat. So knight takes knight, now I grab the queen, and then knight takes bishop with check, and that's the key. So he's grabbed a whole piece here by winning 2 pieces, and I can only get 1 back, and then he grabs the rook. So he got a rook and a piece for the queen, right? So basically I have the queen, and he has the bishop and the knight, and he's threatening bishop to b5 immediately. So instead of being a piece up, I have a slight advantage. The queen is worth a little bit more than a rook and a bishop. But my pieces are a bit tangled too, and my king is somewhat exposed. And black owns the c-file. I can't really challenge it. I want to play rook c1 here, but I can't. It'll just be taken, and by the time I defend the c1 square to enable rook c1, he can double his rooks. So he's just a little too quick here in his development. So my advantage is very slight here. The engine does give white a slight advantage, but not a big one. And so he doubles his rooks on the c-file. All very logical play from black. And then I play queen b6, trying to give a little scope to this bishop. Let's back up. Instead of queen b6, after queen b6, the position is about even. So whatever slight advantage I have is given away by that move. The chess engine has a recommendation here. You might want to think about what you would do as white. This is a kind of an interesting situation. So if you want to pause the video and consider, I mean, it's not like there's any tactical solution here. You just are in a bit of an awkward position and just trying to find the best move to give yourself a little more scope and space. A little bit of breathing room. So yeah, I'll go ahead and tell you the chess recommendation. It was to play h4, and that's good. It gives the king a square to escape to. It puts some pressure on the g-pawn here, and but black is still doing pretty well. He can bring his rooks in and start attacking things in your structure here too. So even though white still has a slight edge here, you know, black has got some things going for him. Either side could win in this position, really. I play queen b6, and now the chess engine thinks this is pretty much completely even after rook c1. Yeah, which was, I think, the best move, the recommended move. So, but I was having trouble figuring out even how to defend this position. So the problem is I don't want him to take my rook. Rook takes check, bishop here to block the check, and rook takes bishop, and that king can go to f2, but he's won 2 whole pieces. Or similarly, if I take, he takes check. So he's threatening to take right away. And I want to allow that. And if I take, then he has the check, and that wins the bishop. So so I need to defend the rook, but the queen can't come to this square because the bishop is guarding it. So it turns out there is one move that saves the game for white and allows him to have still an even position. So why don't you see if you can figure out how to hold the game for white. Okay, I'm gonna tell you the answer now and pause the video if you want to think about it. The answer is rook to e1. Just back the rook up to a square where it was defended. You know, I was thinking of all different ways to defend the rook. The king can't come over. His way to the rook is blocked, and he's too far away anyway. The bishop can't guard it because it's on a dark square and the rook's on a light square. And the queen couldn't get in to guard it. But you can move the rook itself. Of course, it's stuck on the back row. But it can move to a square, and this is the only square because the bishop would take it here, that rook is defended. And now this would be an even game. So I could not find that move during the game. I played rook takes c1, finding nothing better, and now he's just winning. He's a piece up, basically. And he finishes it off in style. This black rook, black bishop I was kind of forgetting about at that point, came in and delivered this check. And now the other bishop comes in and delivers a check, and when I block that, then there's a nice checkmate. So that's always a nice checkmating pattern to know, the bishop and the rook. And with this escape square blocked, the king is mated. So hope you guys enjoyed that one. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I'll see you again later. Bye.